going to take a look at Daniel Jeremiah's top 150 draft prospects and analyze these for fantasy football. We're going to break down the rankings and everything. Before we do, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit that like button. Really helps the channel. YouTube's been messing with me as of late and really need your help. But let's start digging in here. Daniel Jeremiah's top 150 prospects here. Let's take a look at what he's got. Who's his number one? And it is going to be Bryce Young, his top quarterback off the board. Might be the top player off the board. We're getting some Will Levis talk as of today, but you get that on draft season with the rumors. Bryce Young is his top guy. Has a good mental processor, good accuracy, good feel of the pocket, just a smaller quarterback. And we're only looking at the fantasy football prospects, so quarterback, wide receiver, running back like Bijan Robinson, number 3. Good indication that he's a generational prospect when big media's got him ranked so high. It's just the value at the running back position is a little bit lower, so who knows where he will go in the actual NFL draft. Moving on down here to the next guy. Looks like we're going a little bit. At 7, we got CJ Stroud, so he is the QB2 of this ranking set. For some people, he's the QB1. We got a strong arm from Ohio State, bigger quarterback, should get draft capital, and super flex will be one of the top quarterbacks, one of the top pieces coming from this draft. To the next one, let's see who goes. Dalton Kincaid, and he's a top 10 player for Daniel Jeremiah. Good route runner, good athleticism. Not top tier athleticism, but good enough. Top tier in targets last year in all of college football. Had a lot of weeks where he led college football in targets at the tight end position. This guy in the right spot can be a good producer in Dynasty, so that's something you want to look at. And the fact that he's highly regarded here is a good thing. Moving down here, who's next? Anthony Richardson, highly athletic, is a developmental prospect. But you know what? When you shoot for him, you're shooting for that upside. You're looking at the upside of top overall player in fantasy. Top overall player in fantasy. The downside, we all know, is catastrophic. But you know what? When you shoot that shot, sometimes you're going to miss, but you can't not take the shot. Will Levis is getting a lot of rumors right now that he might be the first player off the board. We get that every year or so in the draft. So that's something you don't want to put too much stock in, but you don't want to ignore it either. But he does have a strong arm, does have a wonky production profile. The decision-making is spec. And I think Will Levis, though, can be a guy that probably lands in the middle. Some people are throwing him in the grave. Some people will have him as the next Josh Allen. I think it'll be somewhere in the middle, and it'll probably oscillate through there. Probably be a little bit maybe some good production, but we'll have to see for that for fantasy. Jordan Addison, 15. So that's a solid rank for him considering he measuring a little bit smaller. Decent athleticism still, but his production profile, solid highlights, solid ball skills, very nuanced. He's very polished. That's what I like about Jordan Addison. Coming down here, who is the next fantasy player off here? At 17, we got Jackson Smith-Njigba. So Njigba is his wide receiver 2. Jordan Addison is his wide receiver 1. So that's important to note on the rankings here. But Jackson Smith-Njigba, solid wide receiver. A lot of people have him as the wide receiver 1. He's very nuanced. Missed all of last year pretty much. But again, he had that huge game against Utah, against scrub DBs, but still had that huge game. Moving down here to the next player, and it's Michael Mayer. So Kincaid went at 9, Mayer's at 20, so we got a little variance between them. Mayer is going to be drafted in the first round, could go to a good landing spot, which could be good opportunity, which could help us in Dynasty, allow him to be productive early. Zay Flowers at 22, a lot of people like him. Good bet that he's going to be a first rounder. Very good bet, very nuanced, gets downfield, has enough size. Not a big guy, but enough size. Ball skills, nuanced. Guy that's probably going to get you air yards. Probably a decent bet for fantasy, but I wouldn't consider top-tier production. Maybe someone that can be very steady. Might get you very, very good production in the right situation, though. Going down here. Look at who he's got ranked up next for us. And Jahmyr Gibbs at 29. So he's a fringe first rounder here. back in first rounder if this was a draft, but he's up there in his rankings. Really depends on the value at the running back position, but catches the ball out of the backfield, runs inside well, had good production at Georgia Tech. High-end market share of their passing production back then was really tops in the college football at the running back position and market share when he was at Georgia Tech, and showed what he can do in the passing game at Alabama, and that's just going to get you fantasy points, and he's very explosive. Quentin Johnston at 30, so he's down here a bit, but he's got size and get you yards after the catch. Really want to see how he develops. I think he's a sneaky play too, and I think he's going to be a good value here in rookie drafts. Coming on down to our next guy, Darnell Washington. I think he's dripping with upside at the tight end position, which is something you want because we don't get much upside at the tight end position. He can block. He's got size. He's explosive. The guy that you're going to be very interested to see where he goes in the actual NFL draft. So who is next for us to talk about in his rankings? Luke Musgrave, tested well at Oregon State. The production profile is not huge, but looked good at the Senior Bowl. One of the top tight ends in just about everybody's rankings. Could be drafted in the first round. Coming down here for some more dudes. Who is next coming off the list? Jalen Hyatt might sneak in the first round. More than likely, top tier second round, mid-second round, somewhere around there. Can take the top off the defense, can get you air yards, but might be more of an NFL asset for his NFL team than a fantasy asset. You're just going to have to see how the targets spray his way. Coming down for the next guy, Sam Laporta, dark horse at the tight end position. Really compares to Dalton Kincaid in a lot of aspects. Had a lot of targets last year, productive, and is a guy that's going to be a good get, especially at 44 overall rank. Second roundish tight end. It's going to be a good value. I like him a lot. Moving down here, Hendon Hooker at 46. This really speaks to where he's being evaluated at. You're talking about a 25-year-old quarterback coming off an ACL injury. That's something that you don't really want. But again, he has a lot of history at the quarterback position at the college level, a lot of experience. That's something you want to look at too as well. Has been productive in a gimmicky offense a little bit. Reads are questioned, but again, he has some good things too, like good fundamentals, good mechanics, and all that stuff. So maybe he can develop going forward, but he is an older prospect coming from an ACL injury. Moving down here to our next guy. I really want to see who comes off the board. Zach Charbonnet at 50. So a top tier second round pick is what we're looking at here. In the value range, catch the ball in the backfield, can be a hammer looking for the nail. Can get good workload coming out of the backfield as well, driving fantasy production. I like Zach Charbonnet, one of my favorite running backs in this class. I liked him coming out at Michigan. I liked him coming out of high school, and really been following his career for a bit. Now we're getting into the list, which is kind of cool. We can run through this a little quicker. Jonathan Mingo at 52. So the hype's been rising up. A lot of YouTube videos out there saying, hey, don't follow this guy on the hype. Don't follow this guy on the hype. Draft capital's going to be there. The production profile's not there, of course. The highlights are there. And what sets him apart is he's a bigger wide receiver compared to like these shrimp wide receivers that we got in this draft. So that's going to increase his value a little bit. Remember, this isn't the strongest draft either, but you just want to see where the situation is. You want to see what else is on the roster and what's his pathway to success. Tucker Kraft, not super in on him. He does have a decent athletic profile from a small school, so he's going to have to develop. He's got a long road of development to be able to be a productive asset. We're also seeing Cedric Tillman down there. Big wide receiver, had a big 2021 campaign, and he was hurt last year. If he didn't get hurt, we might not be talking about Jalen Hyatt, and the fact that he's a bigger wide receiver might mean that he might get more respect in this year's draft. Marvin Mims and Josh Downs right there. Two micro wide receivers with good ball skills. Mims has more top-end speed. Downs really has the ball skills knocked down, and he's very nuanced, very good production profile. I like both these wide receivers. Moving on down here around these rankings, we're going to fly through these a little quicker now that we're getting deeper. Should see more running backs, but Luke Schoonmaker or Schoonmaker, however you want to say it. Good athletic profile. Had a little bit of production at Michigan from a market share standpoint. A tight end that you're going to catch in the middle rounds that could deliver you some upside later on down the road in the next few years. Coming on down, Kendre Miller. So he's high on Kendre Miller, just like me. Good size, adjusted athleticism. Can really pop on tape. Want to see where he goes in draft, who drafts him. Want to see his fit. But I really like him at this spot. Do not disagree with that ranking. I also like Jaden Reed. I like him a lot. I have him high up in my rankings. He's one of those flyers I'm willing to take at the wide receiver position. And I think me and Jeremiah can be drinking buddies because I'm also high on Israel Abakanda and Rashawn Johnson at the running back spots. Izzy all day. I'm drafting above ADP. Rashawn Johnson too, but I think his price is going to shoot up if he really goes at this spot with good draft capital. I think that too. Devin Achane probably going to get decent draft capital. Round 2, round 3, somewhere around that. And in the right spot, he could be better in fantasy than what you think he is. You really got to keep an eye on him. I'm not huge on Charlie Jones. I know there's a lot of people watching the channel is. Just an older wide receiver. I'm going to stay away from that. But we're also getting down the ranks. Tank Dell, smaller wide receiver, nuanced though, and has speed to stretch the field. Might be better for the NFL than he is actually for fantasy. Brenton Strange, good athleticism. The production wasn't huge. Guy that can catch the ball though. It could be a good developmental tight end that could develop into a good fantasy producer in the right spot. I'm just not betting on it. Neither is Daniel Jeremiah, but he does have him a little bit higher than expected. Coming down, Jaron Hall. Quarterback coming off the board, a guy that you're not really swinging home or swinging for the fences in your fantasy leagues, just another guy, but you really want to pay attention where he goes in the actual NFL draft. Jake Hanner has an interesting profile, had that big game against USC a couple years ago, has that dog in him, but again, the odds are really stacked against him. Coming down, we're looking at the next guy. We got Tajay Spears at 105, so he's pushing around fringe, 3rd round, 4th round range here. Tajay Spears, good highlight tape, good film, very productive, and also can catch the ball in the backfield, can put guys on skates while running routes. Solid back here. Could be a good fantasy producer even though he's this far down in the rankings. Josh, wow. Not a tight end I'm really into, but really just watching tea leaves where he goes. I will draft cheap tight ends if they come to me in the 4th round, 5th rounds of rookie drafts. Just stack up that portfolio and catch them on the cheap instead of paying up for them. Tyler Scott, slot receiver, has some speed. Could be interesting, but I don't really think it's going to be having it for fantasy. Could be better for the NFL. Not saying that he's a bad player. Tank Bigsby, Dwayne McBride. Those two running backs can really be productive at the NFL level. Even though they're ranked this far down, doesn't mean you should hate on them. Even if they go in the 4th round, remember this is a deeper running back class. Since it's a deeper running back class, you're going to find some of these players in the 4th round that normally would go in the 3rd or 2nd round, and you're going to have to just analyze their position with their team. How quickly can they produce? Is there a pathway to success? And remember, the sunk cost isn't there, so they are in a spot where their team could bring in another running back next year, year after, just spice things up. Rashad Rice, I don't like him. Daniel Jeremiah is not over the moon with him, as you can see, and I'm not huge on him. I would have him a little bit down on my rankings, but knowing that this is kind of in the middle, it's probably about the right way to evaluate him. Regarding what you see about him on tape, A.T. Perry is one of my guys. I like him a lot. I'm checking to get him probably in the later rounds of rookie drafts, but he's also a guy that I've gotten a lot of Devy leagues too, so I might diversify away from him. But he does have some ball skills, some good highlights. Mark Share-Wise has been solid on the back end of his career. Coming on down here, Davis Allen, tight end from Clemson. He's pretty stout, could be good for his NFL team. Might materialize the more, but I wouldn't bet on it. Chase Brown's one of those running backs we've been talking about a lot. Tons of upside, mid-round pick. A guy you want to shoot your shot on, has enough size, enough athleticism, enough production profile and everything. A guy you want to look at, Payne Durham. Same here, a good receiving tight end that in the right spot could develop into something nice for you. Will Mallory, production profile is not there, but the athleticism is there too. You may want to watch him develop, see where he goes, but not a guy you want to bet against either, but will be cheap in rookie drafts. Eric Gray is high on. I'm also high on Eric Gray. I was high on him last year. He came out this year. I'm high on him. I like Eric Gray as well. So moving here to our next guy, Zach Evans, down to 144. That means he's low on Evans. Fantasy football community is high on Evans, and I figured he'd be lower than what the fantasy community would have him at. Zach Evans could be a sneaky guy, though, and he will be cheap if this happens. Dontavian Wicks is a wide receiver I talked about early in the process. I liked him. He's more of a Devy guy that people liked, and really athletic. He's got range and could be a sneaky wide receiver in this year's class. He's also older, though. Production's not huge, so a guy you just want to weather the storm with. I like Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Has a lot of experience at the quarterback position, which is something you want. And he's athletic, can get you yards on the ground, can get you that Konami code in fantasy. Just odds are stacked against him. That's just part about these late round, mid round quarterbacks. And Trey Palmer has been a guy that I've been on to for a while. I like him a lot. But let's look at these ranks from a positional basis for Daniel Jeremiah. Here we go. I got the rankings pulled up here. I got them breaked off into tiers. So I broke them off by spots of 10. So say the quarterback position, Bryce Young's at 1. I'd break off the tier at 10 and so forth. So Bryce Young, CJ Stroud is in his top tier. He has them regarded as top guys. And then tier 2, Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. That makes sense compared to everybody else's ranks. Then Hendon Hooker. That just makes sense compared to everything else. When I did it this way, I just wanted to see what it looked like. I don't have any analytical profile or anything special here. Also, Jaron Hall, Jake Haener, and then at the bottom, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. You may want to screenshot this so you have it. Going to the running backs, Bijan Robinson in a tier of his own like he is for everybody else. Jahmyr Gibbs next, like everybody else. And Zach Charbonnet, very much like a lot of other people's rankings. Kendre Miller by himself, that's kind of a surprise. He's kind of up there with my rankings as well. If you've been watching my ranking videos, Israel Abakanda, Rashawn Johnson, Devin Achane, those are probably the mid-rounders to watch there, probably around late second, third round range. Tajay Spears in a spot by himself. But Tank Bigsby, Dwayne McBride, those are those between the tackles grinders. Chase Brown, Eric Gray, Zach Evans on the board. You do not see Sean Tucker ranked. I talked about the heart issue yesterday. I talked about that being a potential issue for his draft capital. That might be playing a factor here. And then going to the wide receivers. Jordan Addison, Jack Smith-Njigba, Zay Flowers in the first tier, and they're less than 10 spots apart from each other from 15 to 22. So that's why they're there. Jordan Addison is the wide receiver 1. Then Quentin Johnston beside himself. Jalen Hyatt by himself. How you see it on the rankings. Jonathan Mingo, Cedric Tillman. If you want to split up that big tier in the middle, you go the 2 top guys or the bigger guys, and we got 2 smaller, quicker guys at the bottom. Of course, they're different, but again, size is separating them in this class because we got a lot of micro receivers. Jordan Addison, small. Zay Flowers, small. Jalen Hyatt, small. Marvin Mims, small. Josh Downs, small. So those bigger guys are like, teams are they're going to pump them up a bit. That's just economics. I like Jaden Reed. I like him a lot in that tier. Charlie Jones, Tank Dell. Tank Dell's probably going to be good for his NFL team. If my team drafts him, I'm not going to cry about that. After that, we got A.T. Perry. I like him as a flyer. Dontavian Wicks has been a flyer for me earlier this offseason, but I liked him more during the Devy days. Trey Palmer's the guy I'm really going after in drafts. Tight end position, Dalton Kincaid in a spot by himself. He's a top 10 player in his rankings. Michael Mayer at 20. So those are the top 2 guys in his rankings. And then his next tier, it's going down the line as just everybody else's rankings here. Darnell Washington, Luke Musgrave together. Sam Laporta, you might be able to bake in there. I like Sam Laporta a lot. Tucker Kraft, you're going to catch him second round, third round in the draft. Luke Schoonmaker, solid tight end prospect, good athletic profile. We also have Brenton Strange there as well. Josh Weil, that last tier here, Davis Allen, Payne Durham, and Will Mallory. You got some diamonds in the rough there that you can catch in the middle to late rounds of the NFL draft and later portions of your rookie drafts. Once you're done pounding running backs and wide receivers, you might be able to pivot to them if you're looking to show up tight end and you want to do it on the cheap. But those are Daniel Jeremiah's top 150 rankings for this NFL draft. We got running backs, tight ends, wide receivers, quarterbacks. Let me know in the comments who you're looking to draft, who you're trying to get in your rookie draft. I want to thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.